What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. As always, we are here, episode 4 of the Loki series. Now, before we get into this, if you have not seen it already, there is going to be spoilers in this video, so click off it, go on Disney, watch the episode, come back and we can discuss. Now, last week, bit slow. This episode picks up the pace massively and throws some massive curveballs in, which we will discuss. Now, the episode itself is called Nexus Events, which, quite frankly, we get a lot of. We get a lot of Nexus events in this episode, and a bit of a disastrous ending, which, if you watch to the end credit scene, you know how that kind of goes. So, this episode opens up on Asgard. Now, we see Sylvie playing with a Viking ship by the looks of it, but she then gets taken by the TVA, like we've seen previously with Loki. She gets taken by the TVA, she goes through the whole process, much like Loki did in episode 1, and then she is put through an interview where she manages to escape. She steals a TemPad and she gets out of there. Now, the fact that this is an Asgard variant, or at least she's on Asgard when she's taken by the looks of it, it makes me wonder, is this actually Lady Loki? I know when I mentioned in previous episodes, and a lot of people mentioned that it is Sylvie, who in the comic books is given powers by Lady Loki. So I don't know if this is like a Sylvie kind of hybrid with Enchantress. I'm not too sure, but the fact she's on Asgard makes me think that maybe she is actually Lady Loki, like an actual variant of Loki. And she also mentions in this episode that she is the goddess of mischief. So it makes me think it is an actual Lady Loki. We do also see in this scene a little kind of very brief glimpse at the Timekeepers, which we will discuss again later on. So the episode then heads back over to Lamentis, where they kind of left us in the previous episodes, where we see Loki and Sylvie kind of looking over as the planet is kind of being destroyed around them, and they're kind of bonding. We see a romantic kind of bond building between these two, which subsequently leads to them having their own kind of Nexus event, which, as you see, then means the TVA can find them and they essentially pull them out of that Nexus event and the kind of planetary destruction before they are then killed. Now, I did think this was pretty interesting because we haven't actually seen this romantic side to Loki yet. It's a completely different emotional range that we have not experienced from him in any of the films or series so far. We do see a little bit more of it in the episode, and I will discuss that when we get to that. Now, one of the big things in this episode is they are essentially exploring the conspiracy behind the TVA. Are they telling the truth? What the hell is going on in the TVA? I've said this throughout, and I mentioned this in the last episode. Are they what they say they are? You know, we've not seen the Timekeepers yet. Obviously, they have a little nod to them at the beginning of this episode, and we've seen lots of statues and murals and stuff like that, but we haven't actually seen them yet. So we see this episode explore that kind of question mark that we've had the whole series.
Sif! You conniving, craven, pathetic worm. You did this!
What?
I hope you know you deserve to be alone, and you always will be.
All right. A bad memory prison? How quaint.
So part of the conspiracy behind the TVA we see is Loki finally revealing to Mobius that he is indeed a variant, which of course Mobius doesn't believe and goes on to essentially do his own investigating, stealing a TemPad off Ravana Renslayer in the end, and unfortunately, I mean sadly, I was very upset, getting pruned himself, which again leads to Loki showing his emotional side, because he refers to him as a friend in this episode, and it was one of those moments where you look at it and you think, actually, I think this is a genuine emotion from Loki, and you could kind of see the kind of genuine sadness on his face that his friend has been pruned, basically. On the other side of it, we have B-15, the Minuteman. She is on her own little investigation. She is told by Mobius, you know, that maybe they're not being told the truth by the TVA, so she goes off and does a little bit of hunting on her own. And basically, she takes Sylvie back to Roxcart, the events at Roxcart that we had in episode 2, and asks her to show her the visions again. So she saw those visions in episode 2 where she was kind of enchanted by Sylvie. So that's kind of been playing on her mind since. And Sylvie reveals to her that she is indeed a variant. So we have the kind of two sides, Mobius and B-15, that have both been told they are variants. And of course, B-15 has been shown these visions of her previous life, back when she was just a regular old human on Earth. And the whole point of this being that the TVA are stealing kind of people and they're making them come work for them, essentially. So it's all a bit of a lie. Now, we do get a bit of an unexpected finale where we are in the Timekeepers chamber. This is for the first time we actually get to see the Timekeepers. Now, essentially, Sylvie and Loki best everyone, and it ends up with Sylvie beheading one of the Timekeepers, only to reveal they are mindless androids. So I think there's like a big old lie that's been going on, and quite frankly, the big question mark is who is running the TVA? Now, it could still be Kang the Conqueror. I think that is still a really good shot at it. That would be the biggest thing for me, especially because he's been cast in Marvel as it is. Like, he has an actor ready to play Kang. So whether we'll see him in this series or it's kind of just pointed at. The other option it could be is He Who Remains, which in the comic books is the leader of the TVA. That is another good shout. So potentially it'll be one of those two. Again, I think Kang. Now, the episode doesn't quite end there. We have a moment that shocked me where Loki gets pruned in the back by Renslayer, who isn't actually kind of fully defeated. She just gets back up, prunes him in the back, and it makes you think, does that mean Loki's dead? Have they just killed the main character? It kind of changes the whole direction of the episode, even though you're right at the end. But if you've watched the post-credit scene, you will know that is not the end. We get a post-credit scene where Loki kind of wakes up in an unknown universe. We have no idea where he is, but he is being spoken to and looked over by what looks like 4 variants. We have what looks like a 4 variant, he's holding Mjolnir, and then other Loki variants, like a young Loki, and then the old Loki that has the old comic book attire. So that also could mean that Mobius isn't dead, in which case I'm pleased with that because I bloody love that character. But yeah, it leaves the question, where are they? Like, what happens next? I have no idea where this next episode's going. I guess it's going to explore where they are on this planet and what the hell's going on there. Now, I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. I actually thought it was probably the best episode so far in this series. I know there's only been 4, but this one by far has been the best. There has been so much going on, so many twists and turns I just couldn't keep up with, and quite honestly, I found it quite emotional. It was quite intense, the build-up through it, because you knew Loki was going to try and tell Mobius about the whole variant thing, and then we had to follow bloody Mobius through learning about like his past and the fact he's a variant, essentially, and then being pruned and killed, and then a fight with the Timekeepers and all that, and then suddenly Loki's dead, but he's not dead. It's just a lot going on. I can't keep up, but I'm excited. I think there's only 2 more episodes left. Emotionally, I think I'm ready. I'm not too sure, but I'm excited. I don't know where this series is going now. I have literally no idea what the hell they're doing. As I say, I think Kang still might be in charge, but hopefully it's not as kind of anticlimactic as Renslayer's just the head, and you know, she was just using the Timekeepers as like a authoritative figure other than herself. Hopefully there's like a big reveal. I love a big reveal. But yeah, probably Kang would be a great shout. If not, He Who Remains would be a good shout, because as I say, in the comic books he was, or is, the leader of the TVA. But you know, it's an unknown character. Either way, I think we're going to get a new character pop up that we have never seen before. But I'm excited. Let me know your thoughts on this. Where do you think this series is going? Did you enjoy this episode? I'll see you next week. Anyway, peace out, guys. I love you all.
Bye, have a great time.